Yo, what is up? It is Septile Guy here, and we are back with another video. And today, I'm making part 1 of a Pokemon tournament. The first battle is Yveltal versus Magcargo. Okay, I'm going to flip my Pokemon coin here, and we're going to randomly pick. So, this one's going to be heads. Okay, so, Magcargo is going to be heads, and Yveltal is going to be tails. Let's flip it. Sorry. And it landed on tails. So, Yveltal is going to go first. So, Yveltal is going to be using Oblivion Wing, which is going to knock out Magcargo. So, yeah. Magcargo is now eliminated from the tournament. And Yveltal moves on. The next matchup is Pikachu versus Moltres. It's actually odd. I did these randomly, and in my last video, for the example, I did Pikachu versus Moltres. So that's a pretty big coincidence. Pikachu is going to be heads, and Moltres is going to be tails. Okay, it landed on tails. So, Moltres is going to go first, which he's obviously going to knock out Pikachu with Flying Flare up there. And so, I'm going to read this description down below for Flying Flare. You may do 40 more damage if this Pokemon does 20 damage to itself. Okay, so then that means that it gets 120 on Pikachu. That means that Pikachu is eliminated from the tournament. Oh, and I forgot to mention that there might be repeats with the same Pokemon because I have the same Pokemon cards. So that means that it'll be Yveltal versus Moltres in the first match. The next match is Hoopa versus Carbink. So, Hoopa's tails and Carbink is heads. Okay, it's heads. Carbink gets to go first. Carbink used Power Gem, which is 40. And then Hoopa used Super Psybolt, which means that he only has 10% left because it's 80. And he's going to use Power Gem again, which means he's down to a minute math. .40 health. Sorry guys, that took a minute for the math. And that means he's down to 40 health and wrong Pokemon. Sorry. And he's down to 10 health. It's Hoopa's turn, so he's gonna use Super Psybolt again, which means Carbink is eliminated. And Hoopa moves on. The next matchup is Abomasnow versus Voltrib. Okay, Abomasnow is heads and Voltrib is tails. It landed on heads, so Abomasnow is going to go first. Abomasnow is going to use Hydro Hammer first, which actually is 80, which knocks out Voltrib. So, Abomasnow moves on to face Hoopa. The next matchup is Flaffy versus Makuhita. Makuhita, that's a funny name. And then, so, Flaffy is going to be heads, and Makuhita is going to be tails. It landed on tails. So, Makuhita goes first. Makuhita uses Strength, which is 40 damage. And then Flaffy uses Thundershock, which is 40 damage. And then Makuta will use strength, which is another 40 damage, which means that Flaffy is out, and Makuhita moves on. The next matchup is Mudkip versus Magmar. Okay, so Mudkip goes first. Wait, no. Mudkip is heads and Magmar is tails. Okay, so Mudkip gets to go first, and he will use Wave Splash, which will make him down 20. And he will use Ember, which will make him down 30. And Mudskip will use Tackle, but you might be thinking, how would Magmar be dead? Because of its weakness is 2 waters, and he got 2 waters on him. So that means that Mudkip beat Magmar. Magmar. The next one is Swampert versus Marshtomp. Swampert's the evolved form of Marshtomp, which is pretty good coincidence. So, Swampert's going to be heads, Marshtomp is going to be tails. Okay, so does not look good for Marshtomp because it got heads, so that means Swampert goes first. So Marshtomp. Okay, so Swampert's going to use Hydro Pump, which is 80, and I'm going to read the description. This attack does 20 more damage times the amount of energy that the Pokemon attacks to this Pokemon. Okay, so that means it would do 100 damage. Amount with okay, that's with a water energy, so it doesn't matter. So it does 80 damage to him, which will give him 10 health, and then he does Surf, which does 70 damage to Swampert, which would make Swampert have 90, and then Swampert used the same attack, Hydro Pump, which makes Marshtomp the loser. The next one is Fletchinder versus Volcarno. Okay, so Fletchinder's heads and Volcarona. That's weird. It says Corona in its name. So Fletchinder's heads, Volcarona is tails. It landed on tails, so Volcarona goes first. He uses Heat Blast. Fletchinder uses Fire Wing, and uses Heat Blast again. So yeah, that means that Fletchinder is out, and he faces Swampert. The next one is Beedrill versus Ekans. So Beedrill is going to be heads, and Ekans is going to be tails. So it landed on tails. Ekans goes first. Okay, so Ekans use Poison Sting. Flip a coin. If it lands on heads, your opponent active Pokemon is now poisoned. Okay. Let's flip a coin. It landed on tails, so that means no poison. It only does 10 damage. And now that means that he'll use Flash Needle. Okay, let me read this description. Flip 3 coins. This attack does 40 damage 3 times. Does 40 damage times the number of heads if you land on heads. It prevents all the effects, including it does the damage during the opponent's next turn. Okay, so I have to flip this coin 3 times and see what it does, and see what it lands on. If it lands on heads 3 times, that means it does 40 more damage. So it landed on tails the first time, tails the second time. Sorry, I dropped it. And tails the third time, so nothing happens. This only does 40 damage. And then he does poison sting again. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna flip this coin again. Okay, it landed on heads. Beedrill is now poisoned. And now it's Beedrill's turn. And he's gonna use Flash Needle. Oh, let's flip the coin 3 times again. Sorry, I dropped it again. Okay, so it landed on heads. Tails the first time, then heads again. That means that Ekans is eliminated. And Beedrill moves on.